Being a Star Wars fan in the big old 26 is a tough challenge, with the recent Mando Grogu movie failing to generate much hype and receiving very mixed reviews. And then we have Battlefront 2 glitches turning away an already dwindling player base. Here's my team playing against one person, as everyone else got frustrated and left. So my world was looking pretty dark. But then I stumbled across my VHS box set of the original trilogy, and suddenly my world seemed brighter, because I also found the light switch. But really, this VHS box set reminds me of a time when Star Wars used to fill me with excitement and wonder. And if you too are looking for that feeling to return, I'm here to provide a full recap of this peak original trilogy, so you can experience the magic of classic Star Wars. Starting with episode 4. We're in the midst of a civil war, with this teeny tiny Alderaanian cruiser ship running away from this Star Destroyer Galactic Empire gigaship. They're pissed at the rebels because they stole their top secret plans for a planet exploding weapon called a Death Star, which also doubles as a giant space base for the Empire bad guys. The rebels have entrusted Princess Leia to keep hold of the stolen plans, but now that her starship is being tore up, she's palming off this task to R2-D2, who along with his queer-coded robot friend C-3PO, they flee Leia's ship in an escape pod.
That's funny, the damage doesn't look as bad from out here. That's funny, the damage doesn't look as bad from out here.
Supreme Commander of the Empire's military, Darth Vader, is not too pleased about this. So he orders a search party to go find the runaway droids, using some of that gold, cheesy 70s movie villain dialogue.
See to it personally, Commander. There will be no one to stop us this time. Yes, sir.
Oh, and also, he captured Princess Leia, so she's going to be held prisoner, accused of being a rebel collaborator. Landing on the desert planet Tatooine, the droids have a disagreement on what path to take, and so they split up. R2 rolls down the wrong street and gets attacked by the local roadmen known as Jawas. When captured, he gets sucked up into this giant transporter to be sold off alongside the other droids they stole, such as C-3PO. As ugly as this transporter is, looking like a petrified triangle turd on tank tracks, I absolutely adore it. When I was a kid, I used to imagine rummaging around inside, trying to make a working droid out of spare broken down droids, like I'm taking part in Scrap Heap Challenge.
Welcome to Scrap Heap Challenge.
Not that it matters, but this is our first time meeting a gonk droid. And it doesn't matter because they don't matter to the story. But for me, gonk droids do matter, as they were there for me on the battlefront, resupplying me with ammo. And to this day, they're helping my brain in producing melatonin.
Although I can't feel anything right now because I've been taking Gonk Zonk, a new antidepressant from Pfizer Chemicals.
The Jawas try peddling their stolen goods to a local moisture farmer, Owen, and his young scrappy nephew, Luke Skywalker.
Want them cleaned up before dinner.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
They purchase C-3PO, as he knows a thing or two about getting things moist. And they also purchase this droid, which explodes at the mere idea of getting moist. Luckily, R2-D2 is ecstatic to replace it.
Now don't you forget this. Why I should stick my neck out for you is quite beyond my capacity.
Luke's excited to hear that these droids are helping with the rebellion, as he dreams of activities more interesting than moisture farming, if you can imagine such a world. And while cleaning R2, he triggers a part of Leia's message to play.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
That name, Obi-Wan, sounds similar to a local strange old man who isn't seen leaving his home much, only seen coming to the door for his Uber Eats. Luke's uncle and aunt give each other a concerned look as if to say he's getting too close to the truth. So Uncle Owen discourages Luke from poking his nose into rebellion business, fearing that Luke has too much of his father's burning desire for adventure. Even though I can't play you this due to music copyright, we have to include this shot of Luke looking solemnly at the two setting suns. It's such a perfect representation for the feeling of wondering what's out there in the Star Wars universe, and this feeling applies to the audience too. In this scene, there are no words. It's short and it's beautiful, just like Gonk. While Luke was dreaming of running off, R2 was actually doing it, determined to find Obi-Wan and complete his delivery mission. They catch up with him, or it. No, R2's definitely a bro, so I'm gonna say him. And they get ambushed by Tusken Raiders, who try stripping apart Luke's speeder. But luckily, they get spooked off by a strange cloaked man making an even stranger sound. Veteran Star Wars fans will have noticed that I've been using the despecialised, fan-made cuts of this trilogy, because when I found my VHS collection, it dawned on me that I've only ever seen these movies in the special edition George Lucas cuts, where he added new scenes and new sounds, and quote-unquote enhanced existing scenes with relatively new age special effects. I had never seen these original cuts, which is arguably Star Wars in its purest form. My childhood cinema and subsequent VHS Star Wars experience was the version that George Lucas always wanted me to have, but couldn't provide until the budget allowed for it. But maybe the specialised versions can improve upon my already magical experience by taking away some of the unsightly additions, and going back to this scene, some of the unsoundly additions. Here's what this cloaked man sounds like in the newer versions. Maybe it does sound more realistic now, but I do feel like some of the mystique is now missing. It went from sounding like some otherworldly creature to a guy who just gambled away his last penny and has lost it all in Vegas. Whether or not my viewing choice here is the right call is something that I can determine later on, but feel free to air your thoughts down below. And with that said, let's carry on. Old Ben remembers being called Obi-Wan many years ago, and he also remembers fighting alongside Luke's father, who was a fellow Jedi Knight who fought in the Clone Wars, and not simply as a pilot, like his uncle told him. He's been holding on to a gift from his father, to be given to Luke when he's old enough to handle it.
Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster.
Obi-Wan tells the story of the peacekeeping Jedi Knights, who managed to protect the balance of justice for over 1,000 generations before the rise of the Empire. And he also says that Luke's father was killed by a Jedi named Darth Vader. He then goes on to explain the existence of a powerful energy known as the Force, an energy that binds the universe and all living things.
It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Now that R2's with Obi-Wan, he plays the rest of his message, where Leia says that her father, the Viceroy of Alderaan, is on the head council leading the rebellion, and he trusts his old friend Obi-Wan to escort this droid and the Death Star plans safely back to Alderaan. Obi-Wan is getting too old for this shit, and says he really needs Luke's help. But the problem is, Luke isn't yet a believer in having some sort of destiny, and knows that his uncle still needs his help with wrangling all that moisture. But as fate would have it, the Empire found out that his uncle purchased the droids, and so they turned him into a charred skeleton, along with Aunt Beru. So it looks like Luke has nowhere else to go. Might as well tag along with Obi-Wan. On the outside, the Death Star looks complete, but until they finish construction, this massive space station remains vulnerable to attack, and the stolen plans have the vital information showing its current weak spots. Admiral Motti has full faith in this Death Star being the ultimate weapon for the Empire, rather than some mystical force energy that Darth Vader believes in.
Rebels hit fort.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Luke and Obi-Wan arrive in Mos Eisley, Tatooine's notorious spaceport that's crawling with crooks from various planets. And now stormtroopers are here too, doing stop searches on any passing vehicle, looking for the rebels' droids. But luckily, one of the Jedi tricks is being able to make people believe that
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
in a dive bar they run into trouble, and the aggressors won't take no for an answer. So Obi-Wan lightsabers an arm off.
Oh, for God's sake, oh, he's got armor!
And the dispute is settled. They get talking with Han Solo, captain of the famous starship called the Millennium Falcon, and he just so happens to be looking for a payday, as he owes a mob boss money, so he agrees to be their chaperone. The new additions include this scene here, where we meet this mob boss, Jabba the Hutt, and it does do well in showing the dynamic of his relationship with Han. But visually speaking, he's far less imposing here in this CGI form compared to his puppet form in Return of the Jedi. And personally, I prefer the idea of building up the mystery of who he is. In the despecialised cuts, we hear about him first, and we see his dark and dingy palace before the big reveal. Several stormtroopers storm in on Han, making some final fixes to the Falcon, and not one of them hits their shot. Which is amusing because moments ago, Obi-Wan commented on their precise shots.
Blast points, too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
I know roasting stormtrooper aim is a tired thing to do at this point.
Have we ever hit anybody with these guns?
I hit a bird once.
So this will be my one and only time mentioning it. While fleeing Tatooine, we get a good sense of Han's personality, where he's kind of a dick, but he is the captain here, so Luke is willing to listen to his commands.
What's that flashing?
Losing a deflector shield.
Don't trap yourselves in. I'm gonna make a jump to light speed.
And their trust in him strengthens when he gets them out of harm's reach. Leia isn't giving up any details about the rebel base, so Grand Moff Tarkin says let's threaten to destroy the whole planet of Alderaan. Leia tries to buy some time by lying about the base location, but unfortunately they've already primed their cannon, and it'd be a shame not to fire it. Obi-Wan feels this genocide in his tummy. It's a real upset in the Force. But enough about that, as Luke's needing a crash course in being a Jedi, and it's going to take him a while to really master his skills. But with some wise words from Obi-Wan about feeling his surroundings, he opens his third eye to sense where the next shot's going to come from.
I call it luck.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
They soon come across a TIE fighter, which indicates that the Empire base must be nearby, but all they can see is this small moon.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
It's too big to be a space station.
They try to fly away but get caught in its tractor beam, and the Empire recognise the ship straight away. When they're about to board the ship, Vader gets a familiar tingle.
I sense something. A presence I've not felt since...
He should have stuck around for the search, as the gang knock out some guards and brawl their way into the control centre. R2 locates the controls for the tractor beam, but they're not in this room, and Obi-Wan insists on sneaking over there alone to go shut it down, urging Luke to stick to his task of protecting the droids.
Your destiny lies along a different path from mine. The Force will be with you, always.
When they locate Leia's cell, Han and Luke bicker about the peril they could face in trying to break her free. But then Luke says, would you do it for some more space cash? You son of a bitch. I'm in. So they stage a prison transfer, which doesn't go without a hiccup or two. I find these edits quite funny, where they insist on showing us every single camera and sensor they take out. Like, okay, we get it. We do get what you're doing. You can stop showing us. Seeing Leia and Luke meet for the first time will always be so cute and kind of humbling, as we know what's to come in both the fictional narrative sense and a real-world literal sense with the passing of Carrie Fisher.
A little short for a stormtrooper.
Huh?
We then come to my favourite sequence in this whole movie, which is watching them essentially being cut off and trapped in this corridor by the stormtroopers, which really showcases how little of a plan they had in getting Leia out of here. They went in with hopes and dreams and a little dash of cockiness from Han Solo. Leia takes charge and finds a way out by sliding them down into the Death Star's garbage disposal, which looks like the set decorators just chucked in a bunch of foam offcuts from the prop department into a giant container with some dirty water. And despite that sounding like a criticism, it's actually very charming looking, and for me it works perfectly.
Absolutely, Your Worship. Look, I had everything under control till you let us down here. You know, it's not going to take them long to figure out what happened to us.
For some reason, there's a living creature in here, and of course there is some lore online to explain why and how a creature is here, but I'm not going to be looking into that, as I'm just here to enjoy the scene. And enjoying it I am, still feeling the fear and suspense, wondering if Luke's going to survive after being pulled under into the yuck puddle. This is one of those excellent examples of how you can build tension without needing to use any music, and have the emotion be delivered by the horrific idea of this potential death. And I love the sound effects of this slightly bubbling trash water. Of course he does make it out, but their fun is just starting as the trash compactor gets switched on. They frantically call the droids to start mashing buttons until they find the off switch, with C-3PO fearing they were too late, as they can hear the screaming.
My poor master.
We're all right!
One thing I haven't touched upon much is the legendary sound effects of the Star Wars universe. Many of the most iconic sounds coming from this trilogy. And one of my favourites is this simple power generator sound. In terms of sound design, it's very simplistic. I think it's just some kind of chiptune tool, a single electronic sound pitched down. Not that I know what I'm talking about here. But back to the point of me enjoying it, I always associate it with a feeling of success, as we hear it again later on in a pivotal scene that I'm not going to spoil for you now. With Obi-Wan successful in his task, he should be heading back to the group, but his destiny is to face down against his old apprentice Darth Vader, who proclaims himself as the new master, despite being fully taken by the dark side.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Their lightsaber fight lacks a lot of the bombastic flair compared to modern Star Wars. But what makes this fight so much more engaging is what it represents for them both, and the very shocking conclusion after Obi-Wan makes this bold statement.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
He wheels this notion into action by allowing Vader to get the kill at the exact moment when he sees that Luke is watching. It leaves us wondering why he made the sacrifice. What did he mean when he said about becoming more powerful? The answers will be found out later, but for now we're left in awe of this mystery. This is quality writing, and just goes to show you that Star Wars has always been more than just a wacky space adventure. Now, let's get into some wacky space adventures, as the Empire aren't just going to let them fly away unchallenged, sending out TIE fighters to clip the Falcon's wings. And the heroes seem to be having way too much fun in this life-threatening battle.
I got him! Brave kid! Don't get cocky!
When they win, Han Solo's quick to remind us all that he's not in this for the glory, he's in this for the money. And I do respect the hustle, but come on man, what else you got going on right now? Stick around with the gang, it'll be a lot of fun for you. When observing the plans back at base, they discover that the Empire fortified the Death Star with larger rebel ships in mind, not expecting anyone to be so bold as to try attacking their base with a Fiat 500. Visually speaking, you look at the immense size of this Death Star versus the rebels' tiny attack vessels, and you wonder how the hell they stand a chance. Even one of the pilots shares my sentiments.
Look at the size of that thing.
Cut the shot on Red 2.
But into the Death Star's canals they go, dodging cannon fire and tickling the surface with return fire. Doesn't go well for everyone who tries, such is the case for this chubby fellow, affectionately named Porkins. I would go over the full details of the dogfight, but really it's better for you to experience. But I will say that what we're seeing here still holds up to this day in terms of visual effects and not feeling as dated as it is. Things really ramp up in excitement when Darth Vader joins the battle in his unique TIE fighter ship. I love how many Star Wars characters have their own unique ship. It adds so much visual interest to the movies. It's a race against the clock for Luke to make his way to the reactor vents and release his torpedo before the Death Star lines up its lasers at the rebel base planet Yavin 4. The genius of Obi-Wan's sacrifice shines through, as he can now speak to Luke in spirit form.
Use the Force, Luke. Let go, Luke.
Strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine, by ridding myself of this mortal aging shell and become a guiding spirit to inspire a young Jedi Master. Obi-Wan truly is the biggest badass in the whole of Star Wars. Han Solo's top tier too, as he decides to join the fight after all, essentially saving Luke while he was focusing his mind and locking in for the most important shot of his life. As the torpedoes head down to the reactor, these Empire workers are priming their cannon, unaware of their imminent death. Before they all meet their doom, I want to hear that generator sound one last time.
Stand by.
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, you can die now. It's been pointed out many times before that it's kind of shitty to invite Chewbacca to the awards ceremony, but not give him a medal like his friends were. It's so damn mean, but kinda funny, so I couldn't just not mention it. Anyway, that's Star Wars Episode 4, and it's just as fantastic as I remember it, plus a little more fantastic now that I've sat down and studied the story more closely. Now, if you found this episode not too action-packed, allow me to introduce you to Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
It is useless to resist.
Turns out not everyone was home when the Death Star got exploded, so the Empire are still reigning supreme in the galaxy. And now they're very cheesed off with the rebels, especially that rascal Luke Skywalker, who is now their leader. Well, he's not really in charge, he's more like their team leader. They've set up a new base camp on the snowy planet of Hoth, and the Empire have sent down some drones to start scanning the area. As a kid, I was terrified of this drone, but watching it again now, I kinda want one to help me look for a parking space when I'm driving to a place I'm not familiar with. Luke notices a drone crash landing and radios it in to say that he's gonna go check it out, but then he gets snuck up on by a Wampa. Personally, I would have given it a less cutesy name. Looks like a mouldy bit of cheese that you forgot was in the back of your fridge. Meanwhile, Han Solo's looking to go back home so he can finally pay his debts to Jabba. And he's a little upset that Leia isn't upset to see him go. And when I say a little upset, I mean he seems aggressively sad about her lack of sad.
Then why are you following me? Afraid I was gonna leave without giving you a goodbye kiss?
I just assumed it's a Wookiee.
I can arrange that.
But then he decides to stick around, hearing that Luke hasn't returned to base, hopping on a Tauntaun to go find him. Right now, Luke's hanging like a lump of meat in the Wampa's freezer, so he calms his focus to pull his lightsaber from the snow.
Oh, he's got armor! Get him!
He tries with all his might to get back home, but his body's on the verge of giving out. Obi-Wan appearing to him, foretelling his destiny of not dying in the snow, and instead going to the planet Dagobah to receive training from the Jedi Master who taught Obi-Wan. Han finds him right as he's passing out, and with some quick thinking, he opens up the belly of his Tauntaun so he can stuff Luke inside and keep him warm until the storm passes.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Oh.
Han really is a good friend. When safely back home, Han once again insists on Leia's affections towards him, causing her to have this outburst.
Are you stuck up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder?
Now this is one bit of dialogue that feels worth opening Google for, because I never knew what a nerf was, or how you could be a herder of nerfs. Here's what a nerf looks like, by the way. It's some sort of funny shaped bison, and apparently you're low class if it's your job to herd them. To prove that she's not interested in Han, Leia kisses Luke, which is the funniest scene to look back on, when we get to a certain revealing scene in Return of the Jedi.
I know. Somehow, I've always known.
Meanwhile, on the main ship of the Imperial's fleet, we got Darth Vader looking like a total badass, as he's silently plotting his next move. He knows for sure that the rebels are down on Hoth, so he organises an attack force to go wipe them out. Their plan is somewhat compromised by their admiral being too gung-ho about his orders to charge into battle, which alerted the rebels to their presence, allowing them time to set up their shields, preventing any attack from a starship laser. Darth Vader ensures that this mistake has a hefty consequence.
Preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral. You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
They deploy some AT-ATs outside of the shield so they can get their troops through the shield, which doesn't stop solid objects from passing through. And they chose these heavy-arse AT-ATs due to their ability to cross harsh terrain. AT-AT stands for All-Terrain Armoured Transport. One of the few elements of the prequels to appreciate is that we get to see this shield technology in action, which actually helps in understanding this attacking by land plan from the Empire. As the rebels begin their counterattack, they realise the armour's too thick for the lasers to penetrate, and it really seems there's no stopping these machines. But then they come up with an idea of lassoing their legs with a steel cable, like they're wrangling cattle in the Old West, making for a very satisfying takedown, as this move exposes its weak spot. However, that was just one of the AT-ATs, and they know an evacuation is needed to avoid a total loss. Luke's snowspeeder gets shot down, and he just about escapes being crushed. But he gets his own back by slicing open a hatch and lobbing a grenade in its belly. Still, the gang gets separated in their evacuation, and Luke takes this opportunity to go to the planet Dagobah, as Obi-Wan foretold. Meanwhile, Han is making the bold move of flying through an asteroid field, knowing that not many people in the Empire would be crazy enough to follow him, but a few of them do. So he takes shelter in a cave on one of the larger asteroids.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Yeah, me too.
Luke had a pretty rough landing, and his ship looks done for, being half submerged in swamp water. And he starts to question if coming here was his destiny, or just a bizarre vision he was suffering from almost freezing to death. This certainly doesn't look like the kind of place where you'd find a Jedi Master, but you would certainly find a strange little green man.
Away, put your weapon! I mean you no harm!
I'm looking for someone.
Looking? Found someone you have, I would say.
Right away, he makes himself a nuisance, testing Luke's patience as he rummages through his stuff and eats his poo jerky. He says he might know Master Yoda, so come follow him, because he's Master Yoda. What's that you said? Oh, nothing. Yoda's little mud hut is adorable, and surprisingly homely feeling for being in the middle of a swamp. I'd crash out for a nap here big time. Yoda eventually reveals that yes, he is the Jedi Master, and also he's been watching over Luke his entire life, noticing how overly eager he is to jump to success, or jump to being in a better place, rather than focusing his mind on what's happening in front of him, as demonstrated earlier when he failed to spot the presence of another Jedi. For this reason, he fears that Luke may not be ready, but with some reassurance from Obi-Wan, along with Luke promising that he is ready, Yoda takes him on as a student.
I won't fail you. I'm not afraid.
You will be. You will be.
Meanwhile, in the asteroid cave, they're searching outside for some weird bat creature called a Mynock, as it keeps damaging the paint job on the Falcon. And after Chewbacca shoots at one, it causes the ground to rock. And after double checking that it's definitely not an earthquake, they realise they're in the belly of a giant beast and have to book it out of there fast before they get eaten. And this monster has the coolest name in the Star Wars universe, an Exogorth. Back to Luke's training, he's learning about the importance of resisting the dark side and also recognising its presence. and only when your mind is at ease will you be able to sense it clearly. And to test him on this, he's sent to a bizarre and eerie cave, where not only does he envision a fight with Darth Vader, but also envisions his head falling off and his helmet exploding to reveal Luke's face. Now bizarrely, Family Guy seriously mocks this scene by suggesting that it doesn't make sense.
That place is strong with the dark side, but it's very confusing and it stops the movie dead.
But Yoda literally just explained about the struggles there will be in resisting the dark side.
If once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you it will, as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice.
But how am I to know the good side from the bad?
You will know when you're calm.
Here is Luke confronting his fears of turning into the next Vader if he's unable to resist. Not really that confusing if you think about it. His next training involves more concentration, but he's still easily distracted and caves in too quickly to doubt. Using the Force, he attempts to lift the X-Wing out the swamp, but again he fails. And to prove that it is possible, with enough belief in the Force, Yoda gets it done.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? And where you should not. For my ally is the Force.
I don't believe it.
That is why you fail.
Cutting to Darth Vader. He's receiving a transmission from his new master, Emperor Palpatine, and he warns of Luke becoming a powerful Jedi and a threat to the Empire. So maybe Darth Vader can try convincing him of the benefits of turning dark side. He's also hired some bounty hunters to go find the Falcon, two of which are important enough and less goofy looking enough to mention. Firstly, Bosk, who despite having no other screen time in his trilogy, is my favourite bounty hunter, as I enjoy being him on Battlefront, as he requires so little skill to play.
Have you seen my specialty?
And then we have Boba Fett, the most famous of them all. I think they even made a spin-off series about him. Can anyone confirm that happened? No? Luke is abandoning his training, as he had a vision of his friends being in trouble. But Yoda says no, you must stay here until you get your Jedi certificate. Ghost Obi appears and agrees that he's not ready, but Luke has made up his mind.
Luke, I don't want to lose you to the Emperor the way I lost Vader.
You won't.
The Masters despair over his choice, with Obi saying he was our last hope.
That boy is our last hope.
No. There is another.
There's some online discourse about who Yoda was talking about here, which for the sake of this recap I'm not going to get into. But it is cool to see that Yoda is wise to the universe, knowing that the Force exists in others, and will always exist in others, even if Luke fails. To secure a hideout and repair shop for the Falcon, Han enlists the help of an old acquaintance, Lando Calrissian, who has a history of beef with Han, as Han won the Falcon from him after a gamble, but they appear to have patched things up.
How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you!
But then Lando reveals that he made a deal with the Empire, insisting that he didn't really have a choice. In the holding cell, Lando explains how he now realises that Vader's deal has a sinister ulterior motive, which is to bait Luke Skywalker into coming here. He gives his apologies, saying he just wanted to protect his people from the Empire.
I'm sorry I couldn't do better, but I got my own problems. Yeah. You're a real hero.
As a reward to Boba Fett for locating the Falcon gang, Han Solo is marched to a chamber where he is to be frozen in carbonite, causing Leia to finally admit that she has feelings for him.
I love you.
I know.
Knowing there's still a chance to save him, Lando double-crosses the guards.
Hold him in the security tower and keep it quiet.
And while being choked out by Chewie for his earlier deception, he explains that he now wants to help. Despite Leia's warnings, Luke is walking right into the trap, willing to face Darth Vader, giving us this franchise's most iconic and aesthetically pleasing lightsaber duel. Leading onto a platform hanging over a dizzyingly deep chasm within this floating city, Cloud City. After a valiant effort, Luke is outmatched, getting all beat up and bruised.
It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed as Obi-Wan did.
And when he again refuses the dark side, Vader takes a limb.
Oh, he's got armor!
He tries once more to lure him over, saying that together they could end this war and bring order to the galaxy, giving him the olive branch of truth by revealing what really happened to his father.
He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
Luke doesn't want to accept this to be true, but Vader urges him to imagine their combined power as father and son Jedi. They could even overthrow the Emperor and become the new overlords. As Luke would sooner risk his life than join Daddy's dark side, he lets himself fall down the chasm, using some bizarre physics to land with no further damage in the tunnel.
It's crazy, but stranger things have happened.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
And then finally dropped onto an aerial, where he's clinging on for dear life. He calls out for help, and we get the reveal that Leia is force sensitive, as she can feel his cries for help.
We've got to go back.
What?
I know where Luke is.
And with that, Luke is successfully rescued. As Lando and his new pals attempt to fix the hyperdrive, Luke is communicating with Vader, who once again says that his destiny is by his side. And for just a second you can see Luke questioning his loyalty to Obi-Wan. After all, he did lie about his father.
You do.
When they get to safety, Luke gets a new hand. And standing with Leia, they look out the window to wonder what's next. And you'll be finding out what's next right now, with Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
So be it, Jedi.
They're building another Death Star, and there is a reason why they're making it look identical to the first, but we'll cover that later. Palpatine has made his demands for the space station to be ready on a tight deadline, and when he arrives for inspection, he is pleased to see that Vader's making it so, and he gives him the further instruction to bring Luke Skywalker to his throne room, as he will inevitably show up here.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
I was surprised to learn that Ian McDiarmid was only 37 when he took on the role of Palpatine. He did a fantastic job of sounding like an old evil wizard. The excellent makeup and prosthetics helped too, but really he stole the show here, and it's no wonder why he became so beloved. We've actually skipped a bit forward here, so let's take it back and see what the rebels are up to. 3PO and R2 have been sent to Jabba's palace to deliver a message, having to talk their way past the guards and try not to be attacked by this Star Wars equivalent of a French bulldog. And of course it has a name and extensive bio. The incredible way this universe has been fleshed out, with every minute detail being covered, will never cease to amaze me. The message is from Luke, and he's asking for a meeting with Jabba to negotiate Han's release. But Jabba says no thank you. Solo makes for a great centerpiece, and is a real conversation starter for guests to my house. When Jabba sends the droids down to get new work assignments, they come across this gonk droid being tortured. A recent publication has canonised droids as being programmed to respond to damage, aka pain. And there is some logic in making sure that droids are programmed to try and avoid situations where they can get damaged, and being vocal about it when damaged so their owner can repair them. But setting logic aside, it does make for a funny, almost human moment for this random gonk droid. Chewbacca is brought before Jabba by this mysterious bounty hunter, and they're bold enough to threaten Jabba into paying more space cash. As he likes balls, he agrees to the transaction. Later that night, the bounty hunter sneaks back in and releases Han Solo from the carbonite. When he comes to, she reveals herself to be Leia, who snuck Chewie in here earlier to assist with the rescue. But this rescue attempt doesn't go unnoticed. So Han and Chewie are together at least, but now they're all Jabba's prisoners. And he wastes no time in getting Leia changed into something more sultry. I don't know man, I was digging the bounty hunter costume. In comes Luke to demand the release of his friends, but again Jabba's not in the mood for bargaining, sending him down into the Rancor cage. I flipping love the Rancor. As a kid, I used to skip to this scene, as I took great pleasure in watching the Rancor gobble up this guard, hearing his bones go crunch. I promise I'm not a psychopath. Then we see Luke wedge a bone in its jaw to buy him some time. It's all very exciting and very satisfying when he manages to trip the door controls and the heavy steel door breaks the Rancor's neck. I love how the Rancor handler needs consoling, like it was some kind of adorable puppy he lost. Jabba orders their execution by way of slow digestion in the stomach of a Sarlacc. Luke offers him one more chance, set them free or die, which they find very amusing.
So you have chosen death.
Luke gives the signal to his friends to begin their counterattack, with R2 ejecting his lightsaber. A lot of fun action here, which again would be a bit superfluous for me to cover here, but we do see Boba Fett being eaten by the Sarlacc. He might have even survived this, as may be shown in that Boba Fett series that I'm not sure on the existence of. The most crucial event of this scene is that in the chaos, Bikini Leia wraps her chain around Jabba's neck and chokes him until he dies. Not a bad way to go. Luke made a promise to return to Dagobah so he can finish his training with Yoda, but Yoda's just blown out the candles on his 900th birthday cake, and his life candle's close to burning out too.
Rest I need. Yes. Rest.
He does offer some reassurance that the reason he wasn't told about his father is that he was not yet emotionally ready to handle it, and only when his training was complete would he have been able to face him and come away unscathed. And he was almost tempted over to the dark side, even just for that split second. With his final breath, Yoda reminds Luke that his resistance to the dark side is now imperative, as he will be the last light side Jedi alive, at least for now. But there is another Skywalker who's strong with the Force, and they must be protected. No, not you, never you, Rey. Get out of here, shoo! Yoda dies before revealing who the other Skywalker is. Obi-Wan appears to him and explains that the reason why he never told him about his father is that he became so corrupted by the dark side that he no longer resembled his father, and Obi-Wan needed Luke to be emotionally disconnected from him in order to defeat him.
Must face Darth Vader again.
I can't kill my own father.
He goes on to reveal two more important details. The first is that his father's name, Darth Vader's real name, is Anakin Skywalker. The second detail is that Luke has a twin sister, who along with Luke was hidden from Anakin when they were born, knowing that they would be considered a threat to the dark side, and likely given the old 300 treatment before they learned of their powers. With this information and his instincts, he figures out that his sister is Leia.
Your insight serves you well.
The Emperor's plans are leaked by some Bothan spies, so now the rebels know where their new space station is located, and how it's currently being protected by a shield generator on the neighbouring forest moon Endor. This shield also covers a vast area around the generator, so using a stolen Imperial shuttle and entry code, the rebels request the generator to be brought down, so they can deliver some cargo. The access code they're using is suspiciously old, but with Vader sensing that Luke is on board the stolen shuttle, he orders that access be granted.
Okay, I told you it was gonna work.
No problem.
When on the ground, Han and Chewie attempt to sneak up on some troops, but they fail miserably. The other troops speed off to sound the alarm, so Luke and Leia hop on a speeder too. I'm sure this blurry, low-res chase sequence would be a lot smoother looking in the special edition, so to be nice to your eyes for once, I'll play this using that version. It's pretty intense seeing the narrow margin of error there is between living and dying while riding these speeders. Leia gets knocked off her speeder, but the guy tracking her crashes, so she'll be fine having a rest for a bit. Luke isn't so lucky, as his guy pulls a U-turn to blast him. Okay, back to the gritty and grainy originals now. I know it's objectively the worst choice for a YouTube video, but I'm dug in deep with my purity mission. Leia is found by the most adorable, fluffy, ugly piece of crap I've ever seen. These are called Ewoks, who surprisingly don't speak English, but fortunately they do speak the language of food, so this one's able to bond with Leia.
It's time! Come on, let's get out of here.
By the way, this particular Ewok was the one played by Warwick Davis. The others are looking for Leia, and Chewie gets distracted by a tasty carcass, getting them all caught in an Ewok trap.
Great, Chewie. Great. Always thinking with your stomach.
You take it easy. Let's just figure out a way to get out of this thing.
R2 using a circular saw releases them, but it's too late. The Ewoks have them cornered. Oh no, pointy sticks. I guess we have to surrender. When they see C-3PO, they mistake him for some kind of golden god. And they also mistake his friends as enemies, so they set them up to cook them on a barbecue as a banquet to honour their new god. As C-3PO can speak their language, Luke tells him to say that he'll become an angry god if they don't set them free. They don't listen to this threat, so Luke enacts some Jedi magic.
The Golden God! I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
C-3PO then gives them a bedtime story to explain their journey so far.
Master Luke had chimney to do.
By the way, this is how I imagine our dynamic when I'm recapping things for you. I'm sure you're just as fluffy and, unique looking. Luke takes Leia aside to reveal what he knows about his father, and also that she's his sister. And well, she says this.
I know. Somehow, I've always known.
Did you have this suspicion when you decided to wrestle tongues with him? I certainly hope not, you freak. Now, for the rest of my recording, I accidentally knocked my mouse over, meaning that my cursor was also on screen. And it's really going to bug me if I have to keep cropping it out. So for the remainder of this video, we're going to switch to the special edition. I got the experience that I wanted out of this, and I feel at this point I've done the same for you. So Godspeed, original version. It's nice to know that you're still an option, even though Disney doesn't want us having access to you. Okay, so with that said, we're switching now. Luke decides to hand himself in to the Empire so that he may speak with his father. After much contemplation, he really can't go through with killing him, and he's sure that he can convince him that he does still have a little bit of light side swimming around inside. And the way Vader responds, he sounds kind of defeated, and almost like it's a cry for help.
I must obey my master. It is too late for me, son.
So he takes Luke to the Emperor, who we find out also has great control of the Force, flexing his skills and showing his confidence by releasing Luke's cuffs. He goes on to reveal that the rebel attack was set in motion by Palpatine himself. He's the one who leaked the new Death Star plans, and also made sure that the rebels felt confident to attack by making the new Death Star look like the Death Star they already took down. Also, when Vader felt Luke's presence on the stolen ship, he knew they would be seeking to bring down the power generator, so they set up a trap for Han and Co to walk into.
You rebel scum.
And also the rebel fleet are flying into a trap.
Admiral, we have enemy ships in Sector 47. It's a trap.
Luke's in quite the predicament. He doesn't want to give in to his anger and strike the Emperor down, but he's also having to watch his friends face near death. And the longer Palpatine's in charge, the longer the Empire will remain strong in this war. Palpatine knows this conflict is giving him a moment of weakness, which makes him more susceptible to bowing to the dark side.
Break me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
It's not all doom and gloom, however, as the Ewoks are blowing their battle horns for the counterattack. It's goofy, it's pretty much nonsensical, trying to justify how their primitive weapons are able to do anything against the Empire. But my word, is this battle fun to watch, and I will not apologise for loving it. I just love the audacity of these little effers coming in here with their sticks and stones and zero fear and actually doing damage. They don't get away entirely unharmed, that would be kind of pushing it. We of course do have to give honourable mention to this iconic takedown of an AT-ST. Back in the throne room, Luke finally succumbs to his anger and grabs the saber, initiating another fight with Vader. He again asks his father to observe the good inside.
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
Now, if I had to complain about anything in these films, it would be Vader's very repetitive dialogue. By this final film in the trilogy, I was getting pretty tired of him saying similar catchphrases about the dark side / joining the dark side / don't resist the dark side.
It is useless to resist. If you only knew the power of the dark side, it is your destiny. It is your destiny. You don't know the power of the dark side. It is pointless to resist, my son. You underestimate the power of the dark side.
I am willing to ignore this bugbear, as we're getting close to the critical point of this story, and I don't want to distract from it. As Luke's heavy breathing in the shadows, thinking about his sister, Darth Vader tunes into his brainwaves and suggests that if he won't turn to the dark side, maybe she will. And this makes him freak out, landing a barrage of attacks on Vader until... Oh, go on then, one more time.
Oh, he's got armor! Get him!
Luke now realises that striking his father down makes him no better than he is. So he says, to hell with this, you might as well kill me now, as I'd rather die upholding the Jedi Code than live as part of your Dark Legion. So Palpatine shows off his dark side skill by electrifying him with Force Lightning. And it really is a harrowing scene, with Vader looking down on his son as he begs for him to step in. And it takes Vader what feels like a lifetime to come to his senses and pick up Palpatine to stop him for good. As this was going down, the ground team successfully took down the shield generator, and the rebels go nuts deep on the counterattack. And so now Luke only has a minute or two left before his father's gone forever. So Vader, who we can now call Anakin, asks him to remove his mask so that he may look upon his son with his own eyes.
Now, go, my son.
Seeing his pale and fragile face really changes your perspective, as for the first time when they're sharing a scene, do they actually feel like a father and son? And it's sad seeing how brief their genuine connection is. But when the new Death Star gets blown up, we do get to see Anakin return without his dark side costume. As a point of interest for the special editions, they replaced David Prowse with Hayden Christensen, a decision that I'm not mad about, as it does make a lot of sense. A final scene I want to mention is where Luke's at his father's funeral pyre. You can see the conflicting emotions in his eyes. He essentially saved his father right as he was taking his last breaths.
I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have.
And I'm sure that this one moment of looking at his son gave him 1,000 times more fulfillment than he ever had while serving the dark side. If only Luke could have saved him sooner, he might still have a father in his life. No word of a lie, this project has given me a new love and appreciation for Star Wars. I gotta admit, the prequels kind of numbed my interest for a while, and then after witnessing the rise of Skywalker, I was fully checked out. But now, for the first time in a very long time, my heart for this franchise beats again, and maybe I might consider giving the prequels another shot. Now, this is in no way me promising that I'm going to cover the prequels, unless of course this video does very well, and you guys tell me that you do want that by hitting the like button. Now, I've never touched upon Star Wars before, so making this video was kind of a risk. But like I said at the start, the timing just felt so right for me. I was getting bummed out about the franchise and nostalgia for the good times. So even if this video gets low views, I've still loved doing it, and it's kind of brightened my dead heart to the whole thing. Anyway, I appreciate you watching, and may the force be with every name that's appeared on this end card. And if your name's not up here, I still like you, and hope that you never lose an arm.